Thank you. The clerk, please call the roll.
Miller.
Here.
Eckhart.
Here.
Benson.
Here.
Melton.
Here.
Valencia.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
Stelling. Hamilton.
Here. Item number 4 is discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items, which concern reports and items of a routine nature, normally approved at City Council meetings, will be approved by one vote of the Council. Any member of the Council desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items: approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of December 21st, 2015, and approval of claims in the amount of $281,853.85 and payroll expenses of $90,067.20. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Miller and a second by Councilman Benson to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Miller.
Yes.
Benson.
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
Valencia.
Yes.
Melton.
Yes.
Fisher. Yes. Eckhart.
Yes.
Item number 6, reports from boards and officers. Letter A is Special Tourism Committee meeting from December 29th, 2015.
Well, I was not at that meeting. I have not seen the minutes of that meeting. The only action item that was on the agenda was the discussion and action to appoint a trustee to the Alva Arena Authority. I believe that did occur, and they made an appointment who I believe was Dr. Tucker from the Tourism Committee. But I have not seen those minutes yet, but I believe that is what occurred.
Does the council have any questions for Mr. Dunham on the Tourism Committee meeting? Councilman Miller, would you please give the Finance Committee report?
We just had our Finance Committee meeting just a few minutes ago. We discussed cash and investments, purchase order signing. We had a brief discussion from Mr. Paakey on the presentation that follows here in a few minutes about the scholarship fund. We had a very short discussion about the new development behind Walmart. We're still waiting for some phone calls back from people there. Their engineer is discussing the project with their own engineer to make sure that plans fall under our guidelines. And then we had some discussion on some cash transfers that we'll start making at the beginning of this year to finish out the budget year. Went over our cash standing. We're actually sitting on cash that is roughly where we were this time 2 years ago. So our cash balances are still going well. And watching sales taxes closely to make sure that if it really starts to fall off, any adjustments we need to make, we'll be ahead of that and take care of that in a timely manner. If anybody's got any questions on that, I'm happy to try to answer them.
Anybody have any? Does the council have any questions for Mr. Miller? All right. Thank you, Wes. For the mayor's report, I'm looking at potentially attending. Joe, don't help me with this. It's called the Mayor's Congress.
Yes.
Be in Guthrie on January 22nd. Be a legislative type session for state's mayors. If I read it correctly, it is open to council members.
Yes, it is.
So if any council members have interest in that, get with Joe Don. But that's coming up. The other items I have will be on the agenda here after a bit. Happy to answer any questions you guys might have. All right, next item is the business manager's report.
My report will be pretty light also. Due to the holidays and everything, we just was pretty routine business around here. We did meet on December 30th with Luckenbill, with Myers Engineering, and representatives from NWOSU concerning the Young and 8th Street water line replacement. They were starting that project today. Anticipate being completed by that, or contractually they need to be completed by May 2nd of 2016. I think that their plans will be that they'll be done quicker than that. My understanding is they're going to be working from down Monroe Street this week, from Young Street to 8th, to get that part of the water line replaced before school gets back in session. Then they'll be working from Thunderbird Road to Monroe down Young to get that water line replaced. And then they'll be working down from Monroe to Oklahoma Boulevard after that on 8th Street to replace that portion of the water line. So they're looking at doing it in 3 different phases when they've got equipment available. And everybody seemed to be okay with that progress of work that was going to be affected. We did send out letters to any of the affected residents. Also, we made blackboard calls to the residents in that area so that they were aware of the project and how it would be proceeding. We're still looking for some paramedics. Have not had any qualified applicants. Would encourage any person that would be interested in being either an EMT or a paramedic to get in contact with us. I am looking at, we've got the committees that are coming up as far as the library board on tomorrow, the Board of Adjustment and the Airport Board on the 11th, and I am slated to attend the City Managers Conference on the 13th through the 15th in Stillwater. And that would be my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Joe Don, are we advertising outside of Alva for paramedics and EMTs?
We're advertising just through our through the Oklahoma Employment website. Not advertising in newspapers outside of Alva, but we have reached out through OESC. We have reached out through our contacts with other communities that looking for people that are qualified and certified that may be wanting to at least work part-time. We are trying to exhaust all of our efforts. One of the applicants we did get was from the eastern part of the state, and they elected not to come up for an interview, as it turned out.
Can you update the council on how the generator's doing at the well field?
Generators are working well. We were out of power briefly over this last winter storm. We were out for a couple of days. We had generators down there. Everything's fully functional, and power's been restored to the well field now. We do have one generator that was using quite a bit of oil that we thought was unusual, so we're going to bring that in, and we're going to try to either get CAT up here to look that over before our next storm, or we're going to maybe haul that down to Oklahoma City to have them look it over. But it has been they have been working well and keeping us out of major issues.
Council have any other questions for Mr. Dunham?
Real quick, how about an update on the water meter? Is that staying on schedule?
It's staying on schedule right now. They took a bit of a break over the Christmas holidays. I don't believe they're back in town today. We did receive a list of from their supervisors. The installation supervisor did receive a list today of meters that we needed to go do something with before they could go back and install the meter. And I forwarded that on out to the water department, and we've got staff working on that.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Dunham. Item number 7 is presentation from NWOSU over the 2015 fall semester Alva Incentive Scholarship Program. If Skeeter Bird would please
Mayor.
come forward.
Well, I'm coming a little further forward than usual. So. I want to pass out a spreadsheet that I will go over with you in just a few minutes. We'll pass that around. Before I get to that, I want to introduce who's with us tonight from Northwestern, representing the university, Dr. Ken Cunningham, our university president, Dr. Steve Bowman, our executive vice president, Dr. David Takey, our vice president for administration, and Mr. Caleb Mossberg, dean of student service and enrollment management. We also have a couple students, some of you may recognize, that will speak later. I'm going to let Dr. Cunningham introduce them. What you have before you, I want to refer to this spreadsheet, but I want to start with who deserves the credit. Councilman Melton asked me this question several months ago, and I thought it was a great question. He said, what's the return on investment for the Alvin Center? And we could have spent several thousands of dollars having someone come out and figure this out. So, but we narrowed it down to a point to kind of figure out what really is important and what gets spent here locally. Now, I'm going to take you to the spreadsheet. If there's any questions, just catch me, and I'll be happy to answer those. And if you question my numbers, I'll be happy to discuss those. But if you take that, we'll start on this first block. That first block, if you look at this number on the third column over, the 361350, that is a number provided by the U.S. Department of National Education for EdStats, and that's what these students spend nationally on food, transportation, and entertainment only. Now, before I found that number, and actually Steve Lindsay found that number, I kind of talked to some students, and I've got a couple daughters in college, and I asked them what I thought they were spending, and I found out I was within about $100 of that number, so I feel pretty good about that number being accurate. Now, I don't have a rodeo student, so if you have a rodeo student, that number is probably exponentially increased. But if you take that number times the total of the students that we provided scholarships this semester and for the whole year, it comes to $1.2 million that we returned. 339 students times the $3,600 equals $1.2 million, which provides a return on investment of about 218%. That is just food, transportation, and entertainment only. It doesn't have room and board, it has none of those other numbers. I think most of you would agree 218% is probably a good return on investment where most of you would put your money if you had the opportunity. I know I would. Now this is just the first year. We're not counting year 2, 3, and 4. So that return on investment is not even counted. So just 218% just on the first year of the Alvin Center. Now, if you go down to the next block, we're going to talk about what a total of 1378 students bring to our economy, and that's $4.9 million annually. Huge deal. Now, what's not in there, and those numbers are kind of down below, is there's no tuition, there's no fees, there's no room and board, there's no books. That's not been counted. That all comes back into this economy. I would tell you that our Northwestern's economy is close to $21 million, and about 82% of that goes into utilities or pay and allowances. So indirectly, most of that stuff comes back to our local region as well. So I want to give you some bragging rights about what you're doing as an investment. A 218% return is exceptional. Questions about what I've got put in front of you?
I'd just like to thank you for following that through.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
It's a great question. Okay, I'd like to further put the bill in front of you. That bill totals $281,482.51. Another item I'd like to bring, does everybody have that bill in front of you? You have like page 2? I got a personal note that I would share with you. You go down to the listing of students, and you go to the first page, the bottom of the first page, you'll see a name named Cheney Bird. That happens to be my daughter. So not only I personally, I'm not only professionally grateful, but I'm personally grateful for the incentive, Alva incentive, and the citizens of Alva, the leadership of Alva, for what they do for my family and other families here in this economy. I put a lot of numbers in front of you. I know I created a spreadsheet, and it may be a little difficult to understand. Is there any questions about what I've put in front of you at this point? will be followed by Dr. Cunningham. Will speak.
Well, thank you, Skeeter, and I think Skeeter did a great job of just kind of a quick and dirty return using some national statistics. And, you know, when they talk about the food in that, that's just food like, you know, a hamburger here and there, a soft drink, so on. That's not their, as he said, like their board in the cafeteria, because that would be over and above that. So when we kind of thought about what to present this time, I mean, I know we come twice a year and talk to you, and I always want to say thank you to not only the council for its support, but also to the citizens of Alva. And I do not want to let this meeting go by without saying that again. But I decided to give my time to a couple of students tonight. I think either our last meeting or the one before that, we brought in a student that was an upperclassman from Broken Arrow, a student who's a nursing major, and talked to you just a little bit. And I think often what goes kind of unappreciated maybe would be our students that live right here in Alva, graduated from Alva High. We have two of the best and brightest from the class of 2015 that were Alva High students, both valedictorians in their class, I think 4.0 students. They happen to be in my President's Leadership class this fall semester, were outstanding again. I asked them if I could say this. They were both 4-point students their first semester of college, which if you're going to trip up, often it's first semester. So they have represented themselves, their parents, and the citizens of Alva very, very well. I've asked both of them to come and just say a few words. I told them I wasn't going to script it. They had to do whatever they thought was right. But I'm happy tonight to present Aaron Pierce and Shani Bird. So I'll turn it over to them. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll go first. I'm Shani Bird, and I am a nursing major. So one of the main reasons that I wanted to go to Northwestern is because of the exceptional nursing program that Northwestern offers, but also because of the outstanding scholarship opportunities that are available to me, especially as an Alva High School graduate. As an Alva High School graduate, I was offered 4 scholarships from Northwestern, and I am glad to say that I finished my first semester with a 0 balance at the business office. And I'm very grateful to the citizens of Alva for donating the funds for me to continue my college education.
And really the same here. I'm Aaron Pierce. I'm a vocal music education major at Northwestern, of course. But I'm extremely grateful for all the scholarship opportunities given to me from Northwestern. I looked into 2 other schools, mainly Southwestern and OU, and I would not receive near the amount of scholarship money that I could receive at Northwestern. And I am also finishing this semester with 0 balance, and I'm extremely grateful to have my family this too. That's all.
Thank you.
Caleb Mossberg will finish us out here.
It is always hard to follow our students, and when speaking, they do such a great job. But I want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here and mention a few things about our enrollment management process and what's going on with our enrollment in Northwestern. And hopefully we are able to, with our enrollment management plan, to attract more students like Aaron and Shani to Northwestern and do such a phenomenal job. But before I touch on our enrollment management efforts, I want to again thank the city of Alva, the council, for the continued support through the Alva Incentive money. These funds definitely make it possible for us to stay competitive in the current recruitment environment that is very, very competitive. So with that said, I do want to extend some exciting news about the future of Northwestern. This year, our Ranger Preview event hosted over 450 high school seniors from across Oklahoma and surrounding states with their families to campus, which is the largest group we've held on campus for this event. And that was made possible with this Alva Incentive program and what we're able to offer for that event. So there's definitely some exciting things to be looking forward to. I know Paige Fisher, our Director of Recruitment, and her staff are working hard to ensure a successful recruitment year. And with the city's support through this incentive program, they're well on their way to bringing many new faces to the city of Alva. So again, thank you to the council, to the city of Alva for continued support and making it possible to make a positive impact on the lives of so many students achieving their higher education here in Alva. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Skeeter. Thank you, Dr. Cunningham. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you, students, for making that presentation. As is customary, the presentation occurs during the City Council meeting, and the Alva Economic Development Authority will vote on the awarding of that payment. So thank you all.
I have one question. I think Mr. Miller asked it of Dr. Pankey earlier in our finance meeting. How many salutatorians and valedictorians are receiving some of this scholarship money?
21 valedictorians and 6 salutatorians.
Thank you.
Well, are there other questions? I'm sorry. All right, thank you. Item number 8 is discussion and action on the appointment of Mike Hood to the Alva Arena Authority as trustee. Last council meeting had just a brief discussion or brief remarks regarding this in my report. Seeking if there was any council input, the question, and I talked with Councilor Cunningham after the meeting as well, but the question was posed to council members if they had any input to come visit with me, but whether to have a council member serve as a trustee or another member of the general public. Talked to probably a handful of the council that had either had questions or suggestions, and gave it a lot of thought. I'd been giving it a lot of thought. I knew this was something that was going to come up. It does not have to be a council member to sit on that authority. I've visited with Mike Hood at pretty good length about representing the city on that, or being the city's appointment. Obviously, whether it's a council member or a member of the public, they would not be able to speak for the council. I view this as a huge economic development opportunity for our community, and in talking with Mr. Hood, I think that he would be able to help position this authority to have a good impact on our overall economy for the city of Alva. This is a position that serves at the will of the council, so it's not a term limit. If ever the circumstances would change where we felt like we needed to have a council member sit on that authority, we would be able to make that change at such a time. But at this time, I would like to present Mike Hood to the council for appointment to the Alva Arena Authority.
Mr. Mayor, will there be training for him as far as what's expected on that board?
I think
What's expected from him as far as his relation to the council?
as far as the council is concerned, we have just completed the handbook for board members and council members, and we will be going over those items with him so that he is familiar with some of the relevant items of city business that are going to potentially, impact how he helps the Arena Authority. That will occur. I do expect that either in some fashion there's a regular report that's received by the council on the goings-on of the Arena Authority as well. And so he's been made aware that those would be expectations, and without the full presentation as of yet. But should the council appoint him, we would be, whenever we could get the opportunity, scheduling a chance to meet with him to discuss the handbook and those other expectations.
And we would, you just touched on it, we would be able to get a report from him monthly, quarterly, whatever they're meeting to
There's a
keep
lot
us up
that,
to date?
yeah, there's a lot that has to be determined by that authority as far as when they're going to meet, how often they're going to meet, and those types of things. It is a body that adheres to the Open Meetings Act, so there'll be anything that would happen there would be for the press or any of the public to view as well. But as far as council getting to have a report, he would either report back to the council itself or a body of the council to keep the council abreast of what's going on. Whether that be a written report or come in and to answer questions, or, we'll play it by ear, I guess. But
Council could request, though, that he be here personally.
council can request that. Yep.
Thank you. I make a motion to appoint Mike Hood to the Alva Arena Authority as trustee.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion by Councilman Miller, second by Dr. Hannaford, to appoint Mike Hood to the Alva Arena Authority as trustee. Is there any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the vote?
Miller,
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
Valencia,
Yes.
Benson,
Yes.
Melton,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Eckhart.
Thank you. Item number 9 is remarks and inquiries by citizens. Public comments will be limited 2 minutes per speaker. Speaker must identify himself or herself. Are there any citizens that would like to make public comment this evening?
Don Gattenberg, and from Alva, and I would like to know, what is the arena authority? I'm ignorant. And of course,
There's a group that's been established to, I guess, build an arena and offer it for multiple purposes for our community in the region.
for like rodeo arena?
I believe they'd be rodeo, sporting events, concerts, garden show. I think we've got a pretty extensive list of purposes that they'd like to fulfill. The city's involvement is such that it would be built on city property, not with city funds, but on city property. Should anything happen, the city would be the beneficiary of that property.
Is that like thinking of the rec park somewhere or something?
They have, I don't think anything's final. The authority has just been established, so the authority itself, that body, would, I guess, vet all of the properties available and go at it from that route. My understanding, most of the conversation is focused on the Woods County Fairgrounds. And if anybody could add to that. Okay, good. Are there any other questions, comments? Thank you. Item number 10, remarks and inquiries by council members. There being none, we'll close the meeting of the City Council and we'll open the meeting of the Alva Utility Authority. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Miller,
Here.
Melton,
Here.
Benson,
Here.
Eckhart.
Here.
Valencia.
Here.
Fisher. Stelling. Hannaford.
Here.
Item number 3 is discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AUA meetings will be approved by one vote of the authority. Any trustee desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items: approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of December 21st, 2015, approval of claims in the amount of $38,790.51, and payroll expenses of $22,925.57. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Is that Eckhart? Okay. I have a motion by Councilman Benson, a second by Councilman Eckhart to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Benson.
Yes.
Eckhart.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Valencia.
Yes.
Melton.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
We'll now close the meeting of the AUA and open the meeting of the Alva Economic Development Authority. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Melton.
Here.
Hannaford.
Here.
Stelling. Miller.
Here.
Eckhart.
Here.
Benson.
Here.
Valencia.
Here.
And Fisher.
Here.
Item number 3 is discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items, which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AEDA meetings, will be approved by one vote of the board. Any trustee desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items: approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of December 21st, 2015, approval of claims in the amount of $7,918.98, and payroll expenses of $7,275.37. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Benson, a second by Councilman Miller to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Will clerk please call the vote?
Benson.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Hannaford.
Yes.
Valencia.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
Melton.
Yes.
Eckhart.
Yes.
Item number 5 is discussion and action on the payment of NWSU Foundation's invoice of the 2015 fall semester scholarship billing in the amount of $281,482.51. We heard the presentation earlier. This is a matter of routine business
I'll make
now.
a motion to pay NWOSU Foundation invoice for the 2015 fall semester scholarship in the amount of $281,482.51.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Benson, a second by Councilman Melton to award payment of the NWSU Foundation's invoice for the 2015 fall semester scholarship billing in the amount of $281,482.51. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Benson.
Yes.
Melton.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Eckhart.
Yes.
Valencia.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.